Hey everyone, I'm Hashim. Thanks for watching my video. So I recently purchased this Fujifilm X100V digital camera and used it for a few weeks and then had a trip coming up to Sydney in late March, and I thought that would be a great opportunity for me to take it with me and put it through its paces on the street, doing some street photography over there. So in this video, you'll see some point of view footage of me using the camera on the street. You'll also hear me share some impressions as I'm using it. And then at the end of the video, I'll also share some other information about the image files and such. But for now, let's get this leg of the trip started, where I landed in Sydney on a late afternoon to some pretty gloomy weather and took these few shots on the first afternoon and evening before retiring for the night, and then getting up early again the next morning to some equally gloomy and if not more wet and windy conditions. I just want to take this opportunity also to apologize for the lack of quality and some of the shakiness of my GoPro footage, but I promise as soon as I can afford an upgrade, I will get it, and it will hopefully improve the quality of the POV footage. So this intersection at St. James Station is pretty good right now with the rain, because a lot of people will amass at the exit there and then suddenly cross. So I'm just playing around with the flash a little bit, waiting for people to kind of come through this area. And there's an interesting bit of extra light coming from that Fendi building there, sometimes when people get closer. But I'll probably just get a few shots here and move on. So for this, I'll use manual flash, which I've just set to full power and then done everything else manually. But the rain's calming down now. That was pretty cool. Guy had a wonky cigarette. Coming to Sydney is always a good change of pace from Melbourne, because there's just a different feeling to the streets, to the way that lady's yellow umbrella was really good with the express post box. The amount of crowd, the way people dress and move, they're just a little bit more fast-paced here, I find. Kind of reminds me of Tokyo a little bit. So what I wanted to test with this is also put the X100V through its paces with the weather sealing. And so far I've been shooting it a fair bit, letting it get completely wet, and haven't had any issues. All right, I think it's time for a morning coffee. At this point, I headed to the grounds of the city for not one, but two coffees. And I would recommend them for the coffee and an even cooler interior design, where I couldn't help but take this interior shot while there. Somewhere I definitely recommend visiting if you're in Sydney. All right, so I've had my coffee, went back to the hotel to have a bit of a break and get some things done. And I've just stepped back out now, close to midday, and the rain has kind of eased a little bit, but I think it's going to be on and off all day. So I think I'm going to continue heading down George Street here and just keep continuing this time towards Circular Quay, because you can't come to Sydney without heading down there. So that spot definitely seems like a popular falafel joint. And in case you're wondering, I tend to use auto ISO and manual shutter speed and aperture on this X100V. And for focus, I'm generally using continuous, but with back button. So that way, using back button focus, I can have single autofocus or continuous if I hold it down. I get the best of both worlds, but with the one mode, so I can easily switch between different ways of focusing. So I press the back button to focus once, and the distance will remain there until I press it again, or hold it down to continuously track a subject. But I'm still experimenting with the best way to use this camera, because I'm much more used to shooting with the Leica M rangefinder system, which is completely different when it comes to focusing. I'll be zone focusing with that camera. But otherwise, this feels pretty capable. All right, here we are at Circular Quay, and you've got the bridge off there to the left. I'm just gonna circle around towards the Opera House. And what I'd like to do is try and use the bridge or the Opera House as a backdrop, just to kind of give that feeling of Sydney. Might be a bit cliched, but I think it'll be fun. And if I haven't already mentioned it, or you haven't caught it, I've got another channel that you can go to check out some of the film related content that I do over there, including during this trip. And this particular trip will be some use of the Leica MA with some, probably some JCH street pans. If you're into film stuff, you can check that out. Just as we approach the Opera House over here to see what kind of shots we can create. Even though it's a little bit quiet for the Opera House, I'll hang around for a bit and see what we can get. So not much light or activity that's interesting going on here, so I don't think I will stay. If you don't already use it, the weather can provide such a great element to add to your street photography in moments of sudden wind, for example, or rain. I just love to come out and shoot when the conditions are really mixed like this. A bit of light might be breaking out right now. So, I don't know, I might get a couple more shots, but I can smell something delicious like pancakes or waffles. I haven't had lunch yet, so I think I'll go take a break and then catch up with you in another location later. All right, so I think I'll end this particular leg of the trip there. I will add more videos onto the channel for the remaining days that I was in Sydney, where I did use this camera. But for now, that was the first afternoon and evening, and then the second half of the following day, I got plenty of usage in with this camera. And as for the image files, I shot them all in RAW and then put them through Lightroom and added some light edits to these images that you saw throughout the video. For all the black and white ones you saw, for example, I added the Acros Fujifilm simulation through Lightroom. And then for the color ones, I just made my own edits and saved my own preset that I used for most of those color shots. Let me know what you think. And as mentioned earlier in the video, feel free to check out my film photography focused channel, Pushing Film, if you're not familiar with that one, where I will be sharing parts of this trip where I shot with the Leica film camera. And if you're interested in other film content, I do post a lot of that over there. That is the main channel I started with. As you can tell, this channel is fairly new if you're watching it at the time of me making this video. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts, and definitely stay subscribed to check out some of the following days in Sydney where I shot this camera in very different conditions. The weather cleared up, so I hope you look forward to them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.